What is good? We're back. Got the OG tripod in studio, and we got a fourth leg. Doug joining us from sunny Florida. What's good, Doug?
What's up, fellas? How's it going?
Oh, excited to be here. Chuck Findlay. Big Co, how's it going?
Don't throw a Chuck Findlay reference over my head. I don't know what that means.
Little wedding crashers. Chuck Findlay. Excited to be here.
Got it.
I think that's the name.
Oh,
maybe. All right. Jason, how's it going over there? Ones and twos good? Feeling strong? All right. So today we got some real Dynasty trades for your pleasure, straight out of the Discord. $5 holler. Going to go through some trades. Going to try to keep this up every week, every other week or so. Get Dynasty trades. Best way to get it answered. Get in that Discord. Free or $5 holler. And get an extra show every week. So lots of good stuff going on over there. ADP, mocks. Fun stuff. But today we are going to answer real Dynasty trades straight out of the Discord. So we have 12-man Superflex tight end premium half point PPR.
On two, go. That sounds like you just read a play. 12-man Superflex tight end premium half PPR.
Ready? Here we go.
Set.
Dak.
Okay.
Ford. McMillan. Jalen McMillan. Or Pickens and Olave.
I would think by ADP, Pickens and Olave probably overpower Dak, and of course Olave.
Yeah, Dak's ADP stinks right now.
Yeah, sure. That's
or it's great, one or the other.
Right. Well, in my head, it's great. You know, Olave could easily come back from IR issues and dominate the side of the trade with help from Pickens. But same thing at Dak, right? If Dak comes back and he's a low end QB1 for 5 more years, to me that's the deal. So if I'm the Dak side, or if I'm the Pickens Olave side, I'm giving Pickens and Olave to try to get Dak. I'd like to try to, make that a little bit better. Ford could be pluggable for sure. He's like the guy, one of the guys in my mind that could easily be, kicked to the curb after this rookie class comes in. So he, I like the idea of getting McMillan for sure. I'm trying to get a little bit more. If I'm on the side to give away Pickens and Olave, I'd like to see a little bit flashier names
heavier
with Dak.
Yeah.
And McMillan, keep him in there if you can. I'm a fan of picking him up, but to me,
where's McMillan in the
Ford's
ADP?
not bringing.
Maybe 8th round?
Should be set. Yeah, 8th round if you got rookies, 8.5.
No rookies yet.
Okay, in the
Next
ADP,
month may have
they're in the mocks
rookies.
now. They're in the mocks now, and it's fun. I'm not counting Ford for a lot there, and he's a great throw in. And if he's on any team that I'm dealing with for a trade offer, I'd love for him to be in the trade. But that's in like if you're in a position of power, like again, if you're giving Pickens and Olave, I'm trying to get a little bit more on the other side for Dak. But I'm buying all the Dak I could buy. People are hating on Dak. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is go back and look at his finishes. He's QB1 every year, and yeah, he blew his quad out. People are saying now he can't stay healthy. Like what? That's a couple years ago he got his leg snapped in half. Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah.
Should position of power be a drink?
Position of power, maybe.
It will be if I'm
Doug. What's your thoughts on this trade here?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think just because it's a super flex league, that Dak is definitely the side that I want. But I have to agree that if I am giving up Pickens and Olave, that I want a little more on top of Dak just because of where the values of Pickens and Olave are. I easily think that McMillan can perform to the level of Olave, and I wouldn't be scared of that. But at the same time, he could bottom out and Olave could take off. And I guess we'll just have to see what the OC situation looks like in New Orleans for next year now that Kubiak's gone. So that's kind of where I'm at. You know how hard it is to get a good quarterback in a super flex league without getting one. So for me, it's the Dak side, but I'd at least try to get something else on top of it. So
a lot of people concerned with Pickens moving into next year, right? So he was always kind of a shaky asset for some people just because they didn't know if they could play. I think we've put that to bed. He can play.
Yeah.
Now it's either the same crowd or either myself included a little bit, and we always knew this. It's Pickens versus Pickens at this point, and of course we need a quarterback of some sort, but. Pickens is we're getting a lot of questions just about Pickens and like how to value him, what to do with him, and it's like I'm just not going to devalue him. I'll wait for me.
Yeah.
So
Pickens will come up in a couple other trades here, so that's good. But the thing about Pickens is I said at one time he's like top 5 ability in the league, and some people hit me in the comments and like, top 5 Pickens, I don't have to listen to this podcast anymore. And all I said was ability. If you're watching the games and you see what that guy can do with his body and the control that he has over his body, the ability that his body has and the control that he has with
And
it,
how big he is.
and what he can do with his hand. I mean, he's top 5 ability. I didn't say he's top 5 route runner. I didn't say he's top 5 wide receiver. His ability and what he can do is up there with the best.
Any
in the
given
league.
week on any given
What
throw.
he needs is a quarterback that can demand his discipline. Right, he needs a quarterback that can demand his head to stay in the game. And for the first 2 or 3 games of Russell Wilson, he was all on board. But then the defense has figured out what was going on, and Russell Wilson regressed really quickly. But that was a fun month.
Yeah,
that first month of Russell Wilson was a fun month for Pickens owners for sure. So that's I mean Pickens it's all there for the football player on the field. What's going on in between the sides of the helmet is tough, and he doesn't need Justin Fields next year. It's going to be up and down, but those games where Justin Fields can't complete much and he's running and
you're going to lose him.
You're going to look. Yeah, it's going to look bad. He needs a real quarterback.
All right, on the way out, which side, Pickens or Olave? Dak, Ford, McMillan.
The way it sits, Pickens and Olave, but like Doug said, getting a quarterback without giving one, Dak should carry more weight in this trade than it looks like he is.
Doug, that was final answer.
Yeah, I'm still going to take the Dak side. I mean, if the guy wouldn't come off of anything additional, then I'm still taking the Dak side just because of that. But I have zero issues with pushing back and trying to get a little more on top of that.
Yeah, I think that's what you need to do on the Pickens or Olave side. I would want something a little sexy. Keep Ford in there and get even if it was like a pick.
Yep.
If a 2's in there, I feel even a little bit better.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, I'm taking it for a 2 for sure.
All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go Hampton, Omarion Hampton, so a rookie. I'm going to assume there's a little bit of a Devy aspect in here if he already knows who it is.
Yep.
Tet McMillan, the 209, or Bijan Robinson. I mean, I think
you had me until Bijan.
I think
right.
it's Bijan.
I was just wondering how early do you want me to say Bijan? It could work out for Hampton. It could work out for Tet. The 209, that's fun and all, but like Bijan for me on this, it doesn't all day. There's no guesses. You got one of the top 3 running backs in the league, and if you hit a home run with Tet, if you hit a home run with Hampton, and they're together, fantastic. There's too much risk to be giving away Bijan in that deal for me, and I think that's easy. It's Bijan all day.
So there's no value stuck on this league. We couldn't quite see it in the cropped out circle there.
Terrible screens.
Please include
as much
detail as possible when you're sending these, or at the very least, turn off the names and then give me the whole screen so I could see that top right
How
corner.
do you even vignette that?
I don't know. Doug
did that in post.
yeah. Are you on board with the studio side over here?
Oh, absolutely smashing Bijan. I mean, that's my RB1, so I have zero regrets on taking that.
I really wanted you to battle all of us. That was going to be awesome.
I mean, we can throw it out if you need to, but at the
one.
same time, I mean, throwing those darts of Hampton and Ted's not a bad deal, but when you're staring RB1 in the face, it's like you're not going to turn that
Bijan
down.
hasn't even gotten to a ceiling. I feel like not even close, and he was PBR 3 wide running back last year.
Don't get cute. Keep Bijan.
Or get Bijan.
Right.
All right, let's keep it going.
Saddle.
This is a 12-man PPR. Doug, you might have some influence on this one, maybe some personal. Maybe you could even elaborate a little more on this. So it's 12-man, half-point PPR.
So this is Doug's trade.
A friend of Doug's.
Oh, okay.
Someone he knows. A guy like Doug.
Asking for a friend
of a friend.
Just a Drake London and Romadunze?
Right.
Best friend Doug.
Barkley, George Pickens, Keon Coleman, or Drake London, Romadunze. Half-point PPR.
Background, Doug?
Drake and the Rome side are rebuilding, and the Barkley Pickens Coleman side is contending, and without an elite running back.
The guy receiving London and Odunze would be rebuilding?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the guy receiving Barkley Pickens Coleman is in need of a running back and is a contender.
Got it. Still a contender, giving away Drake London and the idea of Rome's ceiling. For me, like half PPR, you bump up Barkley's value even more. And Pickens too, because he's a touchdown guy, and the idea of what Keon Coleman is supposed to be able to do in my eyes, you bump him up a little bit and have PPR too. He's not going to be a 100-catch guy. London's a beast in any format. Rome, if he hits the ceiling, is likely makes the side of the deal for me. But Barkley until he gets hurt, because all running backs get hurt.
Whoa!
What?
Don't go putting that on my man.
I'm just saying all running backs get hurt, but until Barkley gets hurt, he's a top 2 running back.
Yeah.
And he's probably the number 1. But like you got, with the Eagles O-line and Hurts running threat, we see what Barkley is. He's electric.
2K?
Yeah, 2K. He's 2K all day. So, and I mean, the first touch of the game last week against the Commanders takes it to the house. It just cinema. Like literally couldn't write a better movie for Barkley. That's half PPR, 1 quarterback. I didn't say that.
Super flex.
Okay, it is super flex. So half PPR, bump up the running back. Barkley going to a big contender. The biggest thing for me is just the Rome. There's such an unknown. I mean, Casey can tell you about how good he's going to be and how he's going to get fitted for a gold jacket one day, and he very well could be. And you got a potential for a nice little Ben Johnson bump here in that offense, but right this minute, it's hard to not. Pickens and Coleman can water it down. It's hard to not take the Barkley side. Because he's amazing.
That's what I thought.
But you got a 24, 25-year-old Drake London who's an absolute stud and just got a quarterback. And then Rome, it can be a 22-year-old stud who has a quarterback but just got a play caller, head coach that could put it all together.
Yeah.
So, you Pickens and Coleman, obviously Pickens is more established than Coleman. You got a project in Coleman who I believe in, and Pickens who is, we just said everything we need to say about him, waiting on quarterback to get a ceiling unleashed. That's a tough one. When they're really tough, that's I look at it as good trades. And the beauty of the dynasty is we don't know the answer to this. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of trading in dynasty. You're crazy. You just sold Barkley. Well, if your team
fucking dart in your neck.
You're crazy. It's so awesome.
I like you.
What do you think, Doug?
Yeah, that was the advice that I gave was if you're trying to contend, Barkley's the side. If you're trying to rebuild, Drake's the side. And I think to Big Co's point that it really is, dynasty. And you're not going to know the outcome, but that's exactly what I said. And the following trade that we have coming up is just an addendum of that.
I like the revision. I like a stage 2 of this.
Let's go to the revise.
Revision. Just in case, is Coleman in the next? So Coleman's not in the revision. So real quick, the idea of if you look at this trade, the way it works out, Keon's almost like the throw-in in the deal because you're giving up Drake London and Rome. So that's not necessarily the case, but you can see what I'm saying. He's like the least value here, and like just saying Barkley and Pickens isn't enough. You got to give me Coleman too. That's the way you play it. If you're if you're going to be,
it's Saquon for Drake, and then it's Coleman gets you from Pickens to Odunze. Is essentially how I would look at that.
Exactly how are you looking at it? Barkley and Drake, yeah, and then Pickens and Coleman.
Because looking at the ADP, I think Barkley and Drake are pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't love Keon necessarily, and so, but what you're saying is correct in that you played it well by getting him to kind of be viewed as the throw-in. Not obviously he has value.
How did
I'd throw it
the
back,
lowest in the league.
I would throw it back to him and be like, look, if I don't want to give up Keon Coleman, but if you really want Keon Coleman, we can do Keon Coleman, but I'm gonna need something.
So you want more for the Drake and Rome side?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're giving me if you need to have Keon Coleman in this deal, I need something else back.
Okay.
So
interesting.
So would you?
I mean, I like Rome and Drake a lot. I mean, Barkley's obviously he's going to put you in position to win on a good team. Mm-hmm. So that's certainly cost of trying to win and doing business there on the contender side. All right, let's move to the addendum here. We got Drake, Mims, and Rome. Hill, Barkley, Pittman.
So that's actually your throw-in would be Mims, right? What you just said, Case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now you've
swapped it out.
Now you've upped to Pittman. Well, I guess you downgrade to Pittman from Pickens, I guess, and then you throw in Hill.
Yeah, so Keon Coleman and Pickens went away, and you brought in Tyreek Hill and Pittman, which is the contender going a step further and saying, hey, I'll take Tyreek Hill and Pittman. Kind of takes a little more question mark out of it and takes some youth out of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tyreek Hill is so unknown and the value's way depressed on him right now, and he could come out and have an excellent season again. And that's if you're a contender team, take the shot. And then Pittman, Pickens is a more talented player. Pickens has more upside. we don't know about the quarterback situation per se and what it's going to be like for Pittman, but I think Pittman's like, if we just get the quarterback situation a little better, Pittman week over week feels like a better play for me if I'm a contender.
Yeah.
Or you can get the spike weeks from Pickens, and I would probably rather have Pickens long term than Pittman, but it's not a bad play. What do you think, Doug?
I think Pittman's going to be at this value more of a flex play, probably, if I'm just looking at standard teams and probably where he's going. So for me, having Pittman as your nice flex play with a high or a high floor, right, I feel like is going to be a little bit juicier because you can count on him a little bit more. You're probably banking on Pickens being wide receiver 3 for you, maybe a 2, and if you maybe not in this instance, but just in general, I think if you're a contender, Hill, Barkley, Pittman is definitely the side you want. If you're rebuilding, Drake, Mims, and Rome. I mean, the youth versus the age, but those are some high end bullets on the veteran side there.
Yeah, the part about it, like for the contender, when you swapping out the Pickens and Keon Coleman and bringing in Hill and Pittman, so you're basically there's Keon Coleman and Pittman is a big difference. Like you said, I completely agree with that. Pittman in your lineup every week next year is a lot more comfortable, and it's not like Pittman's old, but Tyreek Hill is pretty, the Pickens and Coleman, and for a rebuilder, you're bringing in startable and they're young enough. So it's not, I feel like you're more selling out a little bit more with the Tyreek Hill side and Barkley. I mean, not that Barkley's 32 or anything, but Hill certainly is going to be no younger. And Pittman's a little bit older, but he's solid. The funny thing about that is the way this was given to me, I didn't realize that Drake was Drake London in this trade again. I thought it was Drake May, and I was completely like, oh, it's a super flex. This changes everything. I don't blame the contender for trying to win, but when I saw these two things, I'm looking at it's like if you're truly at the contender and you have Drake London and Rome Odunze currently, then I'm looking at it from like, all right, well, scrap some of that stuff and let me try to come in here and get Saquon another way, right? So if I'm truly a contender and I'm trying to gather, obviously if you bring on Saquon, that makes you a way higher in contender, and so you're theoretically trading away late first. And so what kind of draft picks can I give you and add a player or two to get rid of to gain Barkley without giving up Drake London, Contender, without seeing the rest of his roster, like Drake London is really hard to beat. I mean, there's only 8 guys better than him, in a ranking kind of type thing,
Yeah, I mean,
and Rome's going to be right there with him, given the future. So I'm looking at it as like, all right, well, what can I give for Barkley? Let's take some of the fluff out of it and let's cut these players down. I just want Barkley, and what do I got to give you for Barkley? That's I don't necessarily need to buy Tyreek Hill. I don't even need Pittman. Let me just I'll give you Marvin Mims and 2 firsts for Barkley. And is that I'm giving you a late first. I just kept Drake London and kept Rome Odunze. You know, that's what I'm trying to do.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I like that thought process as well of if we're just talking straight trade, I would like to see Mims on that first side of this trade and the Drake London Rome Mims for Keon Coleman Pickens Barkley. I'm like that makes me feel. But I like what you're saying. Ideally, I think I would do the same kind of play it the same way that you are. I'm not trying to give up my 2 young assets, even though I'm contending. I'm gonna keep these good guys, and I'm gonna just use my draft picks, whatever it takes to buy Barkley and some other young guy that could be fun. So
yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving here. Let's go Superflex 12-man. We got J.J. McCarthy. We got Addison, so the Vikings stack potentially, and 107. Or Jalen McMillan, Keon Coleman, and 106. So a 1-pick swap.
Yeah, I think it's J.J. McCarthy side pretty easy for me.
I do too.
I think it was also 2-6 and then 26 second.
Yeah. So 2 2s.
Left off the 2s. It's still J.J. McCarthy side. It's unless you had some type of startup last year. After that, it was a quick. If you had the right time frame when he played well in the preseason before he got hurt, and it didn't take long. But if you had something there was a spike in value. But even there, I feel like there's just the value's a little bit it's just a little bit hung up right this second because we're not sure if Sam Darnold's going to be the starter. And there's people are saying he's definitely out. He's definitely out. But I mean, the dude had over 4,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns this year. You know, so until I know I can't. You even gave me a shout out in this last show about the whole Buccaneers coordinator and Jack's, Liam Cohen thing. But until you show me that Sam Darnold's not on the Vikings anymore, like how do the Vikings go 14-2 and just say, all right, Sam,
Here we go. Let's see what we got in JJ.
Right.
I agree.
Because JJ's not. It's not like it's not.
I don't even think. I mean, again, in this trade, like I don't even think I really care. I'll just take JJ McCarthy and Addison.
Me too. Me too. I'm just to say all that. To say, I think JJ's got obviously an extreme value bump coming if Darnold walks away. But even if he doesn't, his value is going to be insulated because he has a huge crowd and KOC is extended. Justin Jefferson's paid. He's extended. Like there's all the pieces are in place for JJ McCarthy to really succeed with and without Sam Darnold. Yeah. And Sam Darnold could even get beat out. Like there's just so much insurance for Sam Darnold. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold has to start, but I think it would be kind of not great for the Vikings to let go of him.
I agree. I've been on the same.
Okay.
I'm 100% with you. I think the way
people are talking right
talk
now
is just so reckless.
He's already gone.
Like, what are you talking about? They just went 14-2.
If they went 14-2 and the defense had record-setting turnovers.
Hey Sam, you want $30 million to stay around another year to see if JJ McCarthy's any good?
Are you kidding me?
Come on.
Okay.
If they had Saquon Barkley run for 2,500 yards and they had the league's best defense with a million touchdowns on defense and 14-2 wasn't Sam Darnold, that's fine. But Sam Darnold look at his stats.
Mm-hmm. Any difference of opinion here on this trade, Doug?
No, not at all. I think it's a smash on the McCarthy side for me. The ones basically cancel, right? So, even if you broke it down, it's McCarthy and a 2 for McMillan, Addison, and a 2 for Coleman. Give me that side all day.
Yeah.
I love how you can still read those names that are blacked out. That's the best.
Yes. Love it. Redact.
Love it.
All right. Next one. We got Jacobs or 112 and 3-4. Doug?
That is Jacobs all day for me. That is a known commodity. That is a top, 10 running back. So for me, that's Jacobs.
I'm open. I'm going to fucking slam this thing. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'm with you, Doug. Jacobs all day long.
Yep.
Big Co?
Well, yeah. So the champion is trading away the 112, right? Since it's been decided.
You would assume so.
Right,
he could be the 4.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I wouldn't hesitate if I'm the 112. If I'm the championship type team, it's Jacobs all day. Even if you're not, like you're probably, because it's been decided, it's not like you're giving up a random first. It says 112, so it's like you're not even giving up a shot at anything better. It's 112. Even if you just got to take Jacobs and your team's not even that good, and you trade him. I think you can, just like Doug said, he's known, he's good, he's on a good offense, he's really good, and he's on a really good offense. And the 112 could be a bust. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You might hit the nuts. You might hit an awesome 112 pick, but you might not.
Yeah, 3-4, I don't care.
Okay.
All right, let's keep it moving here. We got the next one. This guy said he had one healthy quarterback, and T-Law was on IR, and he thinks he can win. He's competitive. He's got Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears, and Garrett Wilson, or Jonathan Taylor, 109, 210, and a 26th third.
This is one quarterback?
No.
Okay. So if Superflex, so the 1.9 is not dropped in value due to not being Superflex. Okay.
Yeah. So, my initial thought on this one is even if you're a contender, like Derrick Henry is fine. I like Derrick Henry. Me and Jason traded for Derrick Henry. He won us some money. But I want to trade for Derrick. We traded for him in like week 8.
Yeah.
That's what I want to trade for Derrick Henry. I don't want to trade for Derrick Henry. Jonathan Taylor can score Derrick Henry points. So I'm okay with that. And he's 4 years. I mean, next year we could be, if the Colts just turn the page just a little bit on offense, we could be talking about Jonathan Taylor like we're talking about Saquon Barkley right now, because we already talked about Jonathan Taylor that way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So then, 109 or Garrett Wilson. I mean, probably Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, for sure.
Yeah,
not even close.
And then Tajay Spears, 210 or a third.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when I look at this trade, I go, all right, like initially I immediately go JT side. And then when I kind of start breaking it down, like I could see the value. I think I'm just sticking with the JT side though.
Yeah, it really is how enamored are you with Garrett Wilson. You know, I think it's a pretty good trade both directions. I do believe that Derrick Henry is going to come out and be just fine next year. But like you said, there's no arguing the dates and the fact that Jonathan Taylor's 4 years younger and he's already five. There you go. 4 3/4. You know, and again, you could hit on that 1.9, you could hit on that 2.10, and those could be hammers, or you could miss them. So that's the only part. You know, Garrett Wilson is probably and I'm very guilty of this right this second. Definitely not getting enough love for what he was doing in the beginning. Obviously, something happened down the stretch. He wasn't getting the targets.
Devontae Adams happened.
Well, obviously, but I'm saying, yeah, obviously Devontae Adams, but they even said something happened, like maybe because of Devontae Adams, him and A-Rod had a little
dust up.
They weren't talking for a couple weeks. That's never good. Even
both of them boys seem like they could be a little bit of hose.
Yeah, so I think Garrett Wilson's probably not getting enough love right now, and it's a good opportunity to scoop some Garrett Wilson dynasty value on the slump right this second because Adams came in there and took all the targets. But I got no problem sticking with the JT side here. It's kind of a coin flip, and that's a good dynasty trade in my eyes.
What'd you think there, freshest of Doug's?
Freshmaker believes that it is definitely going to be the JT side. You have a strong case if you're going to be a contender to take Henry, but we all know that the value of a veteran right now is as low as it's going to be all season, right? So to your point, make it to where you buy him in week 6, 7, 8 before your trade deadline to make that push. But I'm not making this deal if I own JT right now. I want the JT side all day.
All right. All in agreement there. Let's move on to the next one. I think this is a pretty easy one. Superflex, Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy, 110, 106.
That's Jaden Daniels.
See?
Yeah, it's Jaden Daniels. Everything we just talked about, JJ McCarthy, and I've said it earlier, but this is what I was really bringing this. If you hit the nuts, that's what I brought this in for this trade. Like,
why are we always hitting the nuts?
If you get like Justin Jefferson and AJ Brown were late first round draft picks. That's what I'm like. If you get lucky, I think Jay Wayne over here picked up Justin Jefferson late in one of our leagues a couple years ago in late first round. You had a good team.
I had 110 and I traded
110
for 1.9 and took Higgins and Justin Jefferson.
So what you probably
I traded out of 1.5 because and someone wanted to take Judy.
Okay.
Oh no, that was a different league. I traded out of 1.5 and still got CeeDee Lamb.
All right. So So we have somebody here sitting here that took Justin Jefferson at 1.9 or 110, however you took those players. Like if you take the JJ McCarthy side and you hit a CeeDee Lamb at 1.6 and a Justin Jefferson at 110, yeah, you got it, man. But most likely, 99% chance that you're not going to be picking the Justin Jefferson with those picks. So Jaden Daniels just took the league by fire, and that's a really well put together trade. Another quarterback and a couple first round picks, sure. It's just you're taking too much chances to trade Jaden Daniels there.
Yeah.
Next trade.
Yeah, I agree. Give me Jaden Daniels, baby. All right, let's hit the next one. We'll go Anthony Richardson or Zach Charbonnet and 208. This is kind of how you feeling? How risky you feeling? You feeling lucky, Punk? Doug, what do you think?
I think I've got to keep Richardson. I think all you're doing is selling low, especially if this is a super flex league.
Yeah,
I don't think you have an option here.
We've been talking about a lot of hitting the nuts, and this is a hitting the nuts.
That's a kick in the nuts right this second. But
I'm thinking of the A-Rich side too. Big Co, what do you think?
Yeah, me too. He doesn't have to do a whole lot to come back around and to continue to stay a starting quarterback. They got to get some things right for sure, no matter what. But we've seen how many fantasy points he scored this year, looking like a pretty bad quarterback. Mm-hmm. So as long as he can do something and they can get some things together, I feel like they might not have the right offensive coordinator for what they need to be doing with him, but
or head coach,
maybe.
I'm same thing, right?
You find a really, really hard. You'd be hard pressed before the season started to find many people to talk bad about Shane Steichen.
Yeah,
but they got to do something.
Well, so this is, and we'll get moving here, and this is. I think you could take this either way, right? The locker room was broken, came out of the end of the year, a lot of stuff going on. So you could look at it and say, all right, well, that thing was broken, and now they could get it right, and Anthony Richardson could come out here and work his tail off. Or you could say, this is never going to work. It's broken, it's fractured, and this is going to be even worse moving into next year. And so I choose to take the half glass the glass half full here and say, all right, well, this was a guy who didn't appear to necessarily have work ethic problems, and now you're kind of hearing that there was maybe some work ethic problems.
But after he got benched, you were saying that you were hearing that he was doing everything right, and that was the right little bump in the road he needed.
Right. So if those couple of hiccups fixed some things, and now we're going to go into the off season and train hard and get the guys together and be a team, I think this can be really good. And Anthony, I think if that goes and Anthony Richardson makes a little stride, Steichen and them boys will be fine and they'll win some games and you're going to see some progress, or it's just going to continue to go down and this situation is just going to get gross and Anthony Richardson's going to have to hopefully go to San Francisco and get reclaimed, or LA or
that's fine.
Minnesota or whatever.
That's not fine, but it's called average cost per share, right? So I got a couple teams where I paid a lot for Anthony Richardson and it doesn't feel great. But if I'm in a position to be able to get Anthony Richardson for this cheap, I'm going to take it. And if it doesn't go right and it gets cheaper, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it again. I'm going to buy it lower. And then maybe it never goes back up to the team where I bought him at the 1-2 in a super flex. Maybe he never gets that high again, and right there with that Bijan value 2 years ago. But Anthony Richardson doesn't work out this year with the Colts, doesn't mean he's not going to get another chance in the league.
Yeah.
It's not going to he's too young and too talented and too gifted, and he seems to be too much of a good personality, right, and too much of a good human. It's not, so obviously that could be way off on that part, but I don't think so. And that was all they were selling us at first. Remember when he was picking up after his teammates?
Oh, sure.
Remember he was cleaning up so the janitors didn't have to?
Yeah.
And that was what they were selling us at first, and I don't think they were just making it up.
Thought maybe got a little humbled, and now we're good. Or maybe it's going to be a longer road, and then it's never good. But I'm with you.
I like what you said. Maybe he needs a Shanahan. Maybe he needs a O'Connell. Maybe he needs something different. Maybe Steichen can bring in what he needs this offseason, and they build it back up.
Yeah. All right, they're going to bring competition though, so maybe another quarterback.
I don't mind it.
No,
You're a team that wants to win, and you have a good enough team to win.
Yeah. Final thought here, Doug.
I was just going to say, I think Steichen might stick with Richardson this year, though. They might bring in some competition just to push him, but I really feel like he's going to die on the hill with Richardson because I think his job's going to be on the line this year with Irsay as the owner. I don't think it's going to look good if they come out and Richardson's not doing his thing, but at the same time, the Colts aren't performing simultaneously. So I just feel like Steichen's probably going to die on the hill with Richardson. So he's probably working on him this season, this offseason to get him prepped.
Well, if they have a Sam Darnold or a Baker Mayfield show up out of nowhere, I think he'll die on the hill with a quarterback that he thinks is going to win week 3. If they start 0-2, I don't think he's obviously not above benching him. He's going to sell out and do everything he can to make Anthony Richardson work, and everybody in the building should.
If Anthony Richardson sells out in preseason and end of season, and even if he struggles a little bit, I think Steichen will ride with him. If he sees that, what are we doing here? I got to save my job.
Right.
I think he might make the switch. All right, let's go fast here through these last couple so we can get them all in. We're gonna probably miss the last 2 or 3, but we'll get you on the Patreon side. All right, here we go. Jalen McMillan, Keon Coleman, 201, or George Pickens and 111.
McMillan, Coleman, and 201.
Yeah, Doug?
Absolutely. I like the two assets, especially if anybody's worried about Pickens, which I believe he stated in his trade.
Pick's
that he's a little bit worried about Pickens.
Right. Pick's pretty negligible. Right.
Yeah, they're close enough.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Daniel Jones or 305 and 311 Superflex. Doug?
This one was pretty tough for me, to be honest. I am a Daniel Jones believer, but I do think I kind of want the re-roll on the 3.5 and 3.11. I just feel like they're a little more valuable assets, and I might be able to use those in some trades to either level up or go get another quarterback that I might believe in. I'm just not sure what Daniel Jones is going to do. I truly believe his second stint's going to be a little bit better, but I'm just not confident when that's going to be. And I'm not going to sit around and let my team age for 2 or 3 years while Daniel Jones decides to play.
Yeah.
You said Superflex, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking about this question if we.
Of course.
Okay. So, for me, if he's not on the Vikings next year or a team like that, I would probably take the picks. But I think he had a little bit of success despite being on the Giants. KOC can make him look good. So I think being in the Superflex league, the upside of a quarterback that could come back is more valuable than those picks. unless you get lucky and you get a Bucky Irvin, you're probably picking roster cloggers anyway. So I'll take Daniel Jones on the chance that KOC can bring him back.
Yes, it depends kind of where he is for the most part. There's enough kind of weird opportunities in there in the league for me to be kind of excited about it. It'd have to be a pretty weird place. What if he goes to Oakland or Vegas? There's some other options where you're like, this he could get a chance to start. Would it be great in Vegas? I don't know. We'll see. Pete Carroll's interesting, but to me, it's look at Saquon on the Eagles.
Right.
We know Saquon's great, but like.
He got away from
away from New York and he was good. Daniel Jones has had some decent stretches.
That's what I was saying.
Right, I know. So I'm gonna just be like, all right, I think he's a prime candidate for another one of these retread. Like to just be, I don't think he's gonna be a world beater by any means, but he's got some legs. And he can be a decent quarterback, I think.
Yeah, I don't even
given
think
the right opportunities.
I don't even think the word exciting was correct. It's just I would rather him go sit a year in Minnesota and not start.
Sure.
Than go to the Raiders and start right away. I really would. I'd rather him go learn from a whisperer, from one of the best in the league that we got right now, and reset and I would rather him not even start week 1 unless it's for the Vikings. If you bought into Daniel Jones 2 years ago, coming into startup season when he had come off of his best season, it doesn't feel great. And I guarantee, and halfway through the season last year, when he went to 0, I would have taken that 3.5 and 3.11 in a heartbeat. But now things change.
You can throw like I obviously everyone feels confident in their ability. I feel like I could probably draft an okay player between 305 and 311. Or I can move it around, but I also don't mind being like, hey, I'm gonna take these 2/3. I'm gonna go get a quarterback, and I know that it's probably not gonna be for this year, and maybe it is,
right?
But it's a player who has a chance to really go up in value that I've seen be all right. So I'm cool with it.
Yep.
All right, Tank Dell or 309, Doug.
Tank Dell.
Big go.
I plead the 5th.
All right, I'll take Tank Dell too.
Okay.
Fuck it. All right, let's wrap this one up. There's a couple more trades, but like I said, we'll get them on the Patreon side when we do one on Sunday. We'll talk about those. So again, if you are a listener and you want a chance to get some Dynasty trades answered, you can join the free Discord. You can do the $5 holler, and then we'll not for sure read them on air, but that's where we got these ones, and we're going to continue to do this style of show here for throughout the off season. Just talk about trades and values and markets, and just another piece of the puzzle to trying to figure out this dynasty market, and that's really what it is. You got to figure out the market, what you like, what you can capitalize on, and at different parts in the season. Just talking about trades and reviewing them, and it's fun for you guys, I think too. We always get good feedback on people trade shows, and liking to listen to either their trade or other people's trades get done. So be sure to go give us a 5-star review if you haven't. Subscribe on the podcast. There's a link inside there to sign up for a free T-shirt giveaway for some 5-star reviews. Go ahead and get in there. And then if you want some more of us, you can get an extra episode every week over on the Patreon side, as well as ADP. We're doing a bunch of mock draft Mondays. Be sure to stick around on that. And if you're listening on the player profiler feed, make sure you go subscribe to the FF Dynasty feed. Sometimes you can get episodes as soon as early as 5 days earlier than the other feed, right? Because they got a lot going on over there, but ours is pumping them out when they're done. So be sure you go subscribe to the FF Dynasty feed so you can get those a little faster. And every once in a while, we put one that's only on that feed as well. So go ahead and head over there if you don't want to be maybe waiting around on some of these drops.
Good feed too, though.
Good feed. All right, Doug, appreciate you. Big Co, appreciate you. Jason, 1s and 2s, good as ever. All right, we'll catch you next time.
Tonight.
Peace.
So you go.